my political persecution. It's come, it's finally happened, and I've known for some time. I knew after I made the transition by January, there were issues with my social media, issues with my feeds, everything else that made no sense at all. And now, after being served yesterday, I got a letter from Elections Canada. I knew it was coming. I got served yesterday, and I'm going to read it all to you. It's basically one thing you can't do in Canada. And like McCarthyism, I call it Carneyism, because he's the Prime Minister of Canada today, even though this war has been going on since 1812. Absolutely. It's never ended. Canada is designed to stifle the United States, create a wall against the United States, to end the idea of any form of government expansion of we the people. This is real equality of the person, real citizenship that does not exist in Canada. Canada is not a democracy. As of 2 years ago, almost now, after 4 years of aggressive study by the greatest minds in the world, absolutely all of America's best. This spans the Democrats and Republicans alike. They may not identify themselves that way, but clearly when you read these experts' research papers, you know it. You know exactly what it's all about. Now, folks, I want to show you this letter. I can't give too much accuracy because my address, file number, and that. But I'm going to read it to you, so you have to trust me that this is credible and real, because it is. And it's a move from what happened in the United States history. It was a witch hunt on could-be communists. This was right after World War II went into the 50s. Under McCarthy, they were aggressively stomping out anyone who was trying to transition the United States into a communist country, to absolve the Constitution and remove we the people. Well, now, and longer than McCarthyism, is what's been going on in Canada, designed in our Constitution, that so many people can't see, even though it's plain as day when you read your Constitutional Acts of Canada Consolidated, 1867 to 1982. With all the amendments, every creation of every province, they're all equally as evil, if not worse, than the original document itself. Because that document, to appease the United States during US-UK negotiations and outcome treaties, Canada had to move quick after the Revolutionary War, at least the Crown did, of the UK. And they created this Canada. A lot of people got it wrong. A lot of people are biting off little pieces of one evil machine. And I appreciate that. But it's a lot larger than that. And really, it's not as complicated as people make it. There are 28 NGOs, all with roots to London. It's the UK and the European Union. It's a number of kingdoms who are still out there in the world today. Some are weaker than they were. Some are republics, but they keep all the crown power. They've always and forever have been this way. For some of them, 5,000 years. 5,000 years. Very old, evil, ugly system that never ends. And I want to give this to you now. Sorry, I got a farmer. I'm in a good place. And I don't want to ID that because I know I get zapped. And I know where I kind of can and can't for at least a little bit of time. So just bear with me. Let these guys go. No, there's another big tractor coming. They're probably wondering, what's that guy wearing this blue and pink tie for? Well, it's French. It's all of Quebec. It's Quebec's colors, specific political colors. And you're going to know in a minute when I go through this. But, yeah, just give me a minute. Wow. It was so quiet just a few minutes ago, and now it's epicenter of activity. Poor old farmer, he's probably wondering, who's this guy? What's he doing here, right? It's all good. Okay, folks, so without further ado, I'm going to go through what the government's doing to me. And so this is dated June 5th, 2025. Now, I was in Ontario. They sent this out. They sent it out many, many times. They sent people to the door. Of course, I wasn't there. I was in Ontario, where I had been for 14 months, at least on this outing, working at Darlington Nuclear. They give me a file number. They give my name and my address. Of course, I received it yesterday. I finally got served. So it's subject notice of investigation. Dear David Bjorkman, you are receiving this letter because the Commissioner of Canada Elections Commissioner, has started an investigation into allegations you may have contravened the Canada Elections Act, the Act. Charges may be laid against you under the Act as a result of this investigation. Based on information gathered by our office, it appears that during the 45th federal general election, you allegedly requested that a Facebook follower vouch for you in order to allow you to vote in an electoral district, ED, located in the Greater Toronto area. They don't even tell you which riding, but I'll tell you all, it was Pierre Elliott Trudeau's riding, where I resided for 14 months while I worked for Darlington Nuclear. Following this request, an elector by the name of Jonathan LaBelle, a resident of the ED of Oshawa, here we go, and they have a registration number. All EDAs have registration numbers. 35078, agreed to vouch for you. On election day, you completed and signed a registration certificate in the ED of Oshawa, even though you are not ordinarily a resident of that ED. You are also alleged to have taken a photograph of your marked ballot. We'll get into all this, and distributed it on social media. These activities are contrary to the Act. As a result, we have reasons to suspect that the following prohibitions under the Act have been contravened. 56A. No person shall knowingly make a false or misleading statement, orally or in writing, related to their qualification as an elector or as a future elector relating to any other information referred to in Section 49. So first off, everybody, I had my work badge showing that I worked at Darlington Nuclear. I actually didn't go without ID. I'd also had done an employment letter, a registered employment letter, just 2 days before. Brought that in with me. I kept that secret because I wanted this kind of persecution and prosecution, and I want to show everybody just how corrupt our system really is. So that nullifies 56. I didn't go without ID. I have my employment badge with my name and my face. Second, I also had a letter from my work stating my employment and the term, which far exceeded 1 year's time. Even at that time, I'd exceeded 1 year. I was at the 13th month. Then they go on to 281.4. No person shall vote or attempt to vote in an election in a particular electoral district, knowing that his or her place of ordinary residence is not that electoral district. Again, exceeded. And again, I didn't vote. I spoiled a ballot. There was no vote cast because clearly, as my photograph shows, I didn't vote. I clearly spoiled a ballot because I'm not on the election. The party wasn't registered. And I spoiled that. I wrote 51st state all over. All the registered candidates wrote right across the entire ballot. Then it says 281.81. No person shall take a photograph or make a video recording of a ballot or special ballot that has been marked at an election by an elector. Here we go. Special ballot. I registered online way in advance, following all Election Canada rules, for an out-of-province employee who wishes to vote during the election because they can't get home to their home riding to vote. It's called a special ballot. And I am a Canadian citizen. Now, I registered online. It was in processing. The date and time came, and poof, as my Facebook video shows, and it was just minutes after the time allotted on the very last day that my special ballot never came through, with no explanation. My name removed, my registry terminated. Because apparently there's something wrong with me as a Canadian, that I'm not afforded the special ballot like everybody else in Canada. What could that be? What would be the reason for that? They make no mention of that, of course. Is it because Canada, the 51st state? Is it because they had multitude over years of me attempting to register Republic parties of We the People to, in fact, PCC, PCPC? I had those two tried over and over. We the People republics, modeled after the United States, and then eventually, after Donald J. Trump's removal of the American presidential veto for Canada, the 51st state, transitioned that party registry into full-blown Canada, the 51st state. Hundreds and hundreds of contacts back and forth, and emails from myself to Elections Canada trying to register that party for many elections. And over again, while I made all the massive requirements, I could not get the auditor that's only registered with Elections Canada's autocracy, the Government of Canada's autocracy, and they're sworn by oath that they can never register a Republican Party that's for We the People. Only communist republics and monarchies are allowed in Canada. Only communists and Marxist-Leninists and constitutional monarchy, meaning the autocracy of Canada, that's even worse, arguably, than communism, what we live in today, is allowed in Canada. You can cross all your T's, dot all your I's, get all the signatures done in every province and territory in Canada. I did all that at thousands and thousands of dollars of expense to be ready for the election, but to be denied because you can't get the registered financial accountant because they're unable to breach their oath of office to the Crown because they're not allowed to create We the People republics. Or not only do they lose their accounting designation, they lose their accounting business, their corporate registry too. So American, the idea of American, or a republic of We the People, even a Canadian republic on its own, where the people are the government, or at least require the government to be beholden to the people constitutionally. That is forbidden in Canada. That's forbidden. We're a great wall of American expansionism. America not allowed over the 49th parallel. No. No person, this is C, shall distribute or show in any manner one or more persons a photograph, video, recording a copy of a ballot or special ballot that has been marked at an election by an elector. Again, marked by for an election. It was a spoiled ballot. There is no way the ballot was anywhere visually representative of any vote by an electorate, me. It was a spoiled ballot. Clearly, you'd have to be very daft to believe that that was an attempt to vote in an election. And with all the massive correspondence in the last several years between myself and Elections Canada, they have logged. They should know easily that I'm very thorough, highly intelligent, and I know that because clearly I was able to organize and craft a party crossing all my T's, all my I's, dotting all my I's, and getting it all together, but only to be stifled by the Crown system itself on their registered accountants. Because if the accountant isn't registered and sworn through that system, they can't represent you at all. And of course, their oath says they can't be that. They can't be that. Or they lose their designation. They lose their corporate registry because they have to have a corporation too, registered with the Crown. So they get you once at federal and whatever province you're registered at. They will ruin you financially. 28281.9. No person shall B. make a false statement in a declaration signed by him or her before an election officer or unit election officer, which I didn't. But they already know this. It's kangaroo court, folks. They're going to force that. They tell me, well, you'll see in a sec. 5493. No person shall make a false declaration in solemn declaration or affidavit that is provided for by this act, which I didn't. What is an investigation? The commissioner is responsible for investigating cases of potential wrongdoing under the act. Investigations help the commissioner gather facts and information to better understand what may have taken place. You can learn more about the investigations. Look, compliance and enforcement policy at this address. What happens next? We'll attempt to contact you and give you an opportunity to provide your version of events. So that's what this video is. I won't be flying to Montreal. I won't be hiring a lawyer, spending tens of thousands of dollars for a kangaroo court without any authority of any criminal system in Canada. It's absolutely autocratically designed. You all just watched it. The ballot process for Pierre Poilievre in Alberta. Snap of a finger, they changed the rules, just like they'll change these. Remember, if it's not a legitimate court, it's an appointed court by the Crown. It's called kangaroo court, which makes them judge, jury, and executioner. If you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. All that's going to happen to me is I will be fined a super nominal rate, a fantastic rate to make all of you afraid. And then likely I will be banned from ever participating in Canadian elections, probably in my lifetime. That's going to be the example, making me removed entirely forevermore from any elections in Canada. That's likely what's going to happen. The threat to Jonathan LaBelle is even worse than me, because not only is it banning him from all Canadian elections, under the Indian Act, they will threaten him with removal from his chief and council system, and he will lose all access to his Indian status. That's what they're going to try to do to Jonathan if he doesn't testify against me and create an elaborate story of me forcing him to do something unscrupulously, which he didn't to begin with. But that's what they're going to attempt to do. We've already exchanged letters, and it's funny how they put him in the victim seat, and somehow the big bad boogie monster, Dave Bjorkman, the evil of We the People America, right, against the Crown, and just be loyal to the Crown, testify against him, tell us what we want to hear so that we can prosecute and persecute this man politically, which fits a definition in the United States, but I'm not going to go that way. So we will attempt to contact you and give you the opportunity to provide your version of events. You are not required to cooperate with the investigation. You will not be arrested or detained, but what you say or information you provide could be used as evidence. You may contact a lawyer of your choice at any time for the kangaroo court coming. Charles McDonald is the lead investigator assigned to the final. You can reach him by email at charlesmcdonald, of course, at the cef-ccea.ca, or by phone. Please include a file number located at the top of this letter in all your communications in our office. Sincerely, Natalie Thoreau, Manager of Investigations. Of course, this is Quebec, so I'm expected to fly out to Montreal to the Elections Canada office and go through Kangaroo Court and obey the master, tell them how very, very sorry I am that I wanted the people of Canada to be free. I wanted the people of Canada to have real constitutions, that I wanted the people to be real citizens with equality of the person, not subjects or savages according to the laws of Canada, both the Indian Act and the Constitutional Acts of Canada. But hey, right? It's okay, you can be a communist. If I had only been a Marxist-Leninist, none of this would be happening right now. Or if only I had been an illegal registering for voucher ballot, the many hundreds. And I'll tell you all why Elections Canada is so up in arms, why Carnage Carney is so up in arms. Because I got the list from that. By the way, when you register for the voucher ballot, right, with no ID, no nothing, even though I provided all that, I just kept it secret because I knew this persecution would happen. And of course, they didn't talk to the elections officer. And of course, Jonathan would testify that because he's standing there as my voucher. So I certainly did provide ID, and I did give my employment letter from work. They don't know that. But that's what Jonathan will testify for. That's what I'll testify for. Because why? It's the truth. And I hold those records today. And I already have a letter from a Crown corporation in Ontario. Cross your T's, dot your I's, folks. I may have manipulated my post on Facebook, but that was not for you, the people. That was for the Crown, so I could get them in something like this as persecuting me. And they are. And I don't think it would really matter what I would do. This Kangaroo Court will go on. I could hire a lawyer, waste my tens of thousands of dollars. Of course, that means you got to fly out to Montreal. You got to put a lawyer up in Montreal. I've been through it. I've been federally indicted in criminal law 13 times in my life, long before COVID-19. I knew what was going to happen with the truckers because I had already been through it. So it led me to 2019. I was left in 2016 just going, how can this happen? 2016, 2017, 2018, and even years before that. It's not my first rodeo. It's been many for me in my life. I've always resisted the evil, whether I understood it or not. And then eventually you come full circle. And do you know what you find? The United States of America. And clearly now today in all my political aspirations, we've hit the nail on the head. This is the worst thing you can do against Crown. Think about that. The worst thing you can do against the Crown is try to become American, try to become a state of the Union. That is a sin in their eyes, in their divine eyes. I've always told everybody, they will, pulling all the teeth out of their mouth, breaking all their bones, they would rather be transitioned into communism than ever be a state of the union. And they will not stop until they destroy anyone who promotes that. This video is epic. It needs to be shared. I know I have a lot of people. I see you there, Ben. I'm not sure, Mike, if you're there, and others. I know I have to get a hold of everybody, but I've been going through, as you can see, quite a lot. I was served yesterday, so that's kind of, it wasn't unexpected, but the timing of it. And of course, I'm going to have to see how far they're going to take this. But can you imagine being removed forevermore from elections in Canada? Can you imagine being fined many tens of thousands of dollars for what looks like 10 or 12 counts there when you add them all up? And I start looking at other actual fraudulent balloting and stuff, people who've been caught red-handed and stuff, and it can be 10 for this one, 12 for this one, on and on. They've got what looks like over $100,000 in fines against me here proposed, and of course in kangaroo court, where no matter what I say, no matter what evidence I give, they don't have to hear it. They don't even have to take Jonathan's testimony or mine. They can just persecute, prosecute, and remove you entirely from the Canadian political system forevermore. And why? Because of Canada, the 51st state. Did I hit a nerve? Did I hit the nail on the head? Did we finally make it to the actual reality? Absolutely, folks. This is where we go. There is no other greater evil to the crown than the United States of America itself. The largest threat, it's always been the War of 1812 forevermore. It never ended from 1776 onward till today. Canada is the front line of that very old war that is the oldest and worst evil against the United States that the U.S. has ever seen. And I hope Americans wake up to it, because this is political prosecution of high magnitude. This is how much America and its institution is hated by the Canadian crown. Again, I can promise you, witnessed by Jonathan LaBelle, there were hundreds of names. I had to flip through the pages of all of those voucher ballots, hand-signed voucher ballots, hundreds of them in that Pierre Elliott Trudeau riding in Oshawa, Ontario. They certainly don't want to tell you that in the letter, that it's Pierre Elliott Trudeau's riding right at the school, Pierre Elliott Trudeau's tribute school, and riding. It's like that all over Ontario, folks. It's not just all these airports and everything else. It's so much more. It's insane to see how godly these people have been made. A charter that's never been anything of natural rights. It's customary law of the crown. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Like they promise to take away my right to participate in elections forevermore for spoiling a ballot with Canada, the 51st state. After removing my legal right as a supposed Canadian citizen, at least a kangaroo right? A customary right. The special ballot I was to get as an out-of-province person. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. They took it away. They took it away. My supposed legal right. On a whim. Why? Well, because you're Canada, the 51st state, of course. They've been following my Facebook for a very long time. They're always watching. The government's always watching me. I'd be the equivalent to what Americans register as terrorists in my own country just for being Canada, the 51st state. I'm being investigated, watched, and viewed by all members of high policing in Canada, looking for any reason to charge me for treason or a variety of other laws. And it's got to the point, this is the straws they're grasping at. He illegally spoiled a ballot in an election. Committed no crime, but in the eyes of the Crown Kangaroo Court, they can do whatever they want. And they may not be able to get me for criminal action, but in their kangaroo system of customary law, they can manufacture all kinds of civil penalties against me, even removing supposed charter rights. Because again, why? The Crown Lord giveth and taketh away, just like God himself, that so many people believe through Christianity, Judaism, and even Muslims through the Quran. But they live and breathe in Canada. They go to their church, synagogues, mosques. They go there every week, yet they participate in a system where they're governed by people who believe themselves to be the Lord Almighty. It says it right in your Constitution. And for all those who immigrated to Canada in their life, not born here like regular subjects, you are forced to swear that oath. Oh, you'll be a citizen through the Citizenship Act, but first, that act calls for you to give up your citizenship and become a subject, which is right in the act, through oath, and these are your Lord and Master, the Almighty above, whomever you elect or they appoint. And you do that willingly. You give up your humanity, your belief in God. You make them the gods. And all Canadians are born into it. You're born into it whether you like it or not. You are registered that way, and you are legally treated that way. That's my video, folks. Share. Get it out there. I'll keep you updated. I'm going to get back to work on all my other things, but I see this coming. It's coming really, really fast, I would think. And judgment will be made, and they will probably, like I said, remove me from evermore from participating in any elections, meaning I can never lead or run Canada, the 51st state, or anything else for that matter. And I'm likely to see substantial fines, substantially imposed fines registered against me to ruin me financially, like they have so many times in my history in Canada. I keep going, like Donald J. Trump says, fight. I fight all my life. I never ask for handouts. Like I said, I've been wiped out many times, and it looks to be I'll be getting wiped out again. But you get stronger every time, and I hope people share this out. No, I won't be running donations and help me hire a lawyer bullshit. I'll never do that because it's a fool's folly. You're only enriching and strengthening the crown in their system. They will impose their sanctions against me, and I'll go from there. This is my testimony on video, so that the world knows, everybody knows. Can you imagine being persecuted to this level for spoiling a ballot in an election? For spoiling a ballot in an election. And heaven forbid, Canada, the 51st state. God bless everybody. That's my video. Sure. Get it out there. Bye now.